Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 15. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on KSUN Community Radio that provides insight into what it's like to live with mental illness. Our intention and hope is that our program will change attitudes, assumptions, and stereotypes about people with mental health conditions. My name is David Larson. I am very pleased and proud to be your host today, and I am a person with mental illness. I'm in recovery from major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the challenges of being fully human, but I am doing great, and I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. And it is my pleasure to introduce to our guest today. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
It's good to have you here. I hope so, right?
Yes, it is. It's
Yes.
good to be here.
Awesome. Well, Dan, where did you grow up?
I grew up in southeast Kansas.
Okay. Southeast, so we're talking Arkansas City?
Well, further southeast than
Further?
that. Yes, I went to high school in Independence,
Oh, okay.
and we lived in several towns in that area before I went to high school: Pittsburgh, Iola.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, see, my dad's from Ark City.
Okay.
So I'll claim family there. So
Yes.
all right.
My father was born in Humboldt,
Oh, I know Humboldt. Yes.
Yes.
Nearby.
by Ballesta.
What is the mascot at Independence?
The Bulldogs.
All right.
The Bulldogs.
That's what it is in
okay.
Ark City, too.
Is it? All right.
And down south in Keene, Kansas, is the Bull Pups.
Okay.
I always felt sorry for them.
The Bull Pups. That's
I can
interesting.
imagine that they would be smaller, wouldn't they?
They were a smaller town. Yes.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Well, so Dan, what is your connection with mental illness?
Well, my son lives with mental illness.
Okay. And can you share with us his diagnosis?
Well, I wish I could actually. He first had his first encounter with mental illness when he was 24.
Okay.
And one of the things that he has really never opened up about is allowing us to talk to his doctors freely, and we do occasionally, but then he sometimes gives consent and then he withholds consent. So, quite honestly, we've never heard a definitive diagnosis from one of the doctors.
Okay.
But because he's not a minor, does that mean that he has control over his medical records and that you don't?
Yes, that's true.
And that's why a parent would be interested in helping their child, but there's some traps, some hoops you have to jump through if your child is over 18. Is that right?
And that's exactly right. Yes.
So so we need to identify these children and these people with these problems when they're less than 18, so that we can talk to the doctor about everything that's going on. Because I kind of get from you that once he became an adult, it kind of slipped out of your hands.
Yeah. Once your child becomes an adult, once they turn 18, they have rights just like any other adult. So it can be very, very frustrating as a parent. I can tell you that for sure.
And the challenge there, Mike, is a lot of children do not show signs of a mental illness until after they become 18. And I don't know if that's the case with yours, Dan, but it was with my son.
Yeah, that is the case. We do know that what he has is in the schizophrenia spectrum.
Okay.
We have heard that from the doctors, and that typically shows in the early 20s, which was the case for him. So it typically doesn't show manifestations before they're 18.
So somebody shouldn't feel guilty if they have a child that develops something when they're in their early 20s, because there really wasn't anything they could do about it when they were a minor or when they were a child.
No, that's true. And in fact, one of the things I think parents typically do is when this comes up, you look back into the past and you try to look at signs and possibly symptoms that could have given you that heads up early on, and you can just really beat yourself up trying to do that.
Well, I do know. I want to borrow some words from NAMI, and that is that your son experienced exactly what is called that it's a biological illness with an environmental trigger, and so something within the environment triggered that schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Well, I want to take a quick moment here to offer a thank you to our production team, David Peterson, our executive producer. Thank
Hello.
you, David.
You're welcome.
And Mike Padilla, Rhymes with Tortilla, our technical producer.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
You bet. That's awesome. And this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio, and we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is a national alliance on mental illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. Now, Dan, before our break, or actually during our break, we were talking about something. Before the break, we were talking about the issue between schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, and that there is an actual spectrum of schizophrenia. So it's not easy to say, well, that person just has schizophrenia, because it's broader than that, right?
That's right. There are multiple potential diagnoses.
Okay.
Yes.
And we also, during the break, we talked about a wonderful big word. Are you ready for this, listeners? The word is anosognosia. And the way it's been described to me, and tell me if I'm correct on this, is if someone has a headache and all medical signs show that they have a headache, but it's just not registering with them that they have a headache. It's not like a denial thing, but they're just not understanding that they have a headache. And you offer them some medicine for the headache, they're not going to take it because, as far as they can tell, they don't have a headache.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And the way this came up was that with my son, he experienced that after his initial diagnosis, and it was, as a parent, that is so frustrating.
Yes.
Because at first you think that they are in denial. They think that you think that they're just denying that they're sick, and they'll come out of it and they'll come to their
Right.
senses. But what's really happening is they lack the capacity to understand that they're ill. And so as a result, as you can imagine, they don't want to take medication. They don't want to do anything that the doctor wants them to do, because they don't think they're ill.
Right. They also
And so
don't want to do therapy.
What was
or
the
anything
word
like that.
again? Give it to me again.
The word is anosognosia, and I'm not sure exactly how it's spelled, but I do know that there is a GNOS in there,
Okay.
because the Greek gnosis is to know,
Is to know. Oh, I see. Okay.
and so it takes that knowing
I see.
into the word. So I
In this
don't.
case, it means not knowing.
Yeah, not knowing exactly.
I think of it in a similar vein as the term agnostic, and that
Yeah.
it's someone who just doesn't believe.
Right.
They don't believe in their own diagnosis.
Right, exactly. So, well, what is one thing that you wish you would have known when you had to start dealing with mental illness? What is the one thing that you wish you would have known then that you know now?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question.
It
There's
is,
so
isn't
many
it?
things I wish I'd known. One thing that's been a lifesaver for my wife and I has been getting to know NAMI and having the classes available to us. We've learned so much from NAMI, and if we'd known only a piece of this before our son became ill, of course, you can't put the cart before the horse, but if we had known more about how to get him help, how to get help for him, how to even how to discuss his situation with him, it might have gone so much more smoothly for us.
Okay.
But the help that you wanted to give him initially was not, he fought against that, is that right?
Oh, most definitely. He fought against that. And if we had understood more what he was going through at the time, we would have we would
Why
have better
he
understood
fought
why
back.
he was fighting
I
back,
see.
yes. And that would have been helpful for us. Not that we would have had a better outcome, but at least we would have understood the process and what he was going through a little bit more.
Well, let's go back to NAMI then. So when did you get connected with NAMI?
Well, we got connected within a few weeks after our son's first hospital admission.
Okay.
So when that happened, we reached out to anyone that we knew with family members who were living with mental illness, and a common recommendation from several people was to go to a NAMI meeting. So we did, so I'd say within a month of his hospitalization, we'd gone to a NAMI meeting. We found out about some of the classes that were available, and we got signed up, and the rest
Okay,
is
so
history.
you ended up taking a family-to-family class then?
Yes, we
right
did.
off.
Mhm.
Okay, and that was good for you.
Oh, it was excellent. Yes,
Wonderful.
And that at that point in time, you figured out that you're not alone.
most definitely. Yes, and we knew that from the first meeting that we went to, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, in fact, that is one of the major pluses that NAMI offers. Not so much the information and education, but just the support, the camaraderie that you get, that you develop.
Yeah. You develop understanding.
Exactly, and you and there's always input from other people, and they're able to give you guidance and direction, and you develop friendships.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can present things from a different viewpoint also.
Exactly. And some of our stuff that we have offers viewpoints from all sorts of things. So, this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. We are talking with Dan, and we're going to take another quick break, and we will be right back.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at nami.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Well, Dan, I want to ask you from a family point of view, because normally we ask this of people who are living with mental illness. We ask them what their coping skills are. And I am sure that as a family member, you also have coping skills. What are some coping skills that you have that help you cope with mental illness in your family?
Oh gosh, it's really a day by day thing. As a parent, it's so sometimes can be so frustrating because you just want to be in the mind of your child. You want to know what they're thinking, and you can't. You don't know. So we take it day by day. We really do. For the first year and a half after our son's diagnosis, he lived with us, and I think that was fortunate. That can't always happen that way with an adult child, and I think that was really helpful, and I think he appreciated it as well. He recently moved out and is living on his own in an apartment.
That's excellent.
Yes, he's doing really well.
Wonderful.
But we check in with him, and the great thing is he seems to be checking in with us a lot more than he did in the past. So we're really thankful for that.
That is wonderful. Okay, so what are some other coping skills that you have, you as a parent, in dealing with things? Things to get away from, or things to just help refocus your mind, or whatever.
Well, it's like anything else. It helps to get your mind off of things occasionally. Meditation, prayer, just talking through issues with my wife. To the extent I can, I'll talk through the issues with my son. We also have 2 other children, and so we try to be open with them, and so that they understand what's happening as well. They need to understand this.
How has that developed as far as their relationship with your son?
They've been wonderful. Now they're both away from home. One's in college, one's out of college and living in Texas, and so they haven't lived with him since the diagnosis. But of course they're around him on holidays and breaks, and they've been wonderful.
Great.
Okay. Well, so what words of hope can you offer our listeners on dealing with mental illness?
It only gets better. It does. It can be a roller coaster ride at times, and so no matter how low the trough you're in, it'll rise again, and it'll be better. Just take it day by day.
There is hope.
There's always hope.
Always hope.
Yep.
So, in fact, that's one of the things in NAMI. I know in the support groups, we look at I can't remember the name of the list now, but it's in my head. And down at the bottom of each one of the sections, it says hope. And you can have hope when you're in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. There's always hope.
And that's something we try to convey in the family-to-family classes also.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what programs from NAMI have helped you the most? I guess we talked about family to family. What other programs have you really enjoyed?
Well, they host a monthly meeting with one of the local doctors, psychiatrists, and they're KU residents.
Mm-hmm.
Those have been really helpful.
That's the Ask the Doctor?
Yes, the Ask the Doctor program, and we've attended those as much as we can, and it's amazing because people ask anything of the doctors, and it's an open forum.
And there are no stupid questions?
No, well, except when I ask a question.
No. From my 4th grade teacher, the only stupid question is the one never asked.
That's right.
Very true.
So
No.
there are no stupid questions.
It's a great forum, and in that forum there are both people living with mental illness, and there are also parents and family members there, and so it's nice to be able to hear questions from the whole audience.
It's kind of a diverse group then.
It is a diverse group, and the doctors are very, very open.
Yeah.
And, you hear answers that you wouldn't necessarily hear when it's your family members.
What was the doctor that we had on that program?
Dr. Harding.
Dr. Harding.
She's wonderful.
She is wonderful.
Man.
Yes. Well, I'm going to springboard from you, Dan, to David. David, can you give us that wonderful number that we always tell people?
Are you talking about 316-686-1373?
That number, yes.
Or is it 316-686-1373?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. That's a number that I hope everybody will jot down. It's 316-686-1373. And please give that a call if you have some interest in knowing more about NAMI and how it can help you. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later in the next segment.
We will. And
for some of our new listeners, what is NAMI? Tell me.
NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Yes, thank you.
You bet. And as that, I'll springboard right into saying that this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio, and we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, David, before our break, I asked you to give us a special number, and you did, and you're going to give that number again, but you're also going to tell us a little bit more about why that number is so special and what it does.
It's a very special number. It's 316-686-1373. And it's special because that's our NAMI telephone number to come into our answering service. And we'll try to get back with you as soon as possible. But to give you a better idea of what NAMI offers, we are, and I think you've probably said this before, but we are very big on education, support, advocacy, and also reducing the stigma with mental illness. And if this is something that you feel like you could benefit from or a family member could benefit from, please call us. Because we're unique in that we have support groups and educational programs both for those with a mental illness and also those with that have a loved one like Dan had, and we can give them some support. I personally am involved in the family to family class, and it just graduated, and it was just overwhelming the feeling that the people took out of that to have a better understanding of their loved one.
Yeah, because it gives you the information, not just what the what psychologists might say. Well, this is this thought or this thought, but it also helps with explaining some of the physiological happenings with the brain as well.
Exactly, and if one of the things I think most people come out of there is a greater empathy toward their loved one, and it just they understand and they basically know some ideas to help them communicate with that loved one.
But it's basically a layman's approach in terms of the verbology or the verbiage that they would use to try and explain things to people?
It's layman in the sense that we do try to communicate that. We're all non-professionals, but at the same time, as Dan can attest, there's a lot of detail and a lot of long words in some of the chapters.
Just a lot of knowledge, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type that likes to read, and after I finished family to family class, I went back and reread the entire notebook. It's about 2.5 inches thick, and there is a lot of detailed information in there. So
Yes.
I'd say it goes beyond just a general layman's type understanding.
But it would help delay or actually keep people from being fearful about what they don't know about.
Yeah, very much so.
No question.
It will help in that regard, and it also, as David and Dan spoke of earlier, you kind of form a camaraderie in there, and you realize other people are going through these same challenges. And it's, I know David said that would have been great to have that before, but sometimes life doesn't work that way.
No.
But we need something when it does come upon us that we have an illness or we have a loved one that has an illness.
Yeah. Now, Mike, I will tell you, you probably won't get a definition for triskaidekaphobia in there.
No, I won't.
But just so you know, that's the fear of the number 13.
Yes,
So-
I knew that.
You did know that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, I just wanted to share that brilliant piece of information.
And that explains why you're the 13th child, right?
Nope. Nothing can explain me.
Well, and NAMI obviously is more than a bunch of like-minded individuals discussing. It's camaraderie, it's friendship, it's shared experiences.
Yes.
And
And
support.
support, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your experience, everything that's been happening to you? Anything that you'd like to share?
Oh, I'd just like to be thankful for NAMI and the community as a whole. And through NAMI, we've learned about so many different support areas within the community of Wichita, and we're thankful, quite frankly. that
We'd
we live
like
here.
to thank you for being a part of the program today.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
And Dan
You're
just
welcome.
brought up the resource. We have a resource guidebook, which is full of information that's valuable for someone that has a mental illness or has a loved one with a mental illness.
That's correct. In fact, you'll get that resource guidebook on your first visit to one of our meetings.
That's correct.
And so there's always the possibility that you'll find some help somewhere the first time that you walk through that door. But the way to do it is to call that number starting
Right.
out.
316-686-1373.
Right. Or the way that Mike likes to hear it, 316-686-1373.
1373, yes.
Yeah, you like that instead of 1373.
It's just so easy, much easier to remember.
Well, I like 1373, so there.
But that's because you're the 13th child.
Have to cause problems, don't you? Well, folks, it's wonderful being able to share this information with you. And Dan, we thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your life story and all that you've experienced.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
You bet. Thank you.